and we're live, back from our break for part 2 of discussion on the Gunslinger.
Woo!
This is the Shoutouts, your host, JP, aka The Demon. Again, we've got the Ka-Tet.
That's right. Right now, I'm falling into an abyss after having been abandoned by the Gunslinger.
I currently sense you drowning.
Poor little Jake.
I sense you drowning right now. There are other worlds than these.
There are other worlds. That's such a good line.
Hitman back for part 2.
We got Brett, the director.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
We'll get a good finish to the Gunslinger. Cheers, Captain. All right. So, speaking of little Jake, let's have a discussion on Jake. So we meet Jake in the town that disappears, and I don't know what that meant, but it meant something.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I do have to say that Roland instantly falls in love with Jake, and so do I.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I really like him as a character. I think he's really interesting. Maybe it's just because kids are automatically, you just assume they're not shitheads. But
There's something about him.
there's something about him that's really interesting.
To Jake's credit, he's a kid who has been murdered ruthlessly back in his own world. And they also bring up the point that Jake wasn't necessarily really doted over or loved by his parents.
Right.
It's kind of you kind of get the sense that maybe his parents were just kind of trying to get rid of him, like send him away to summer camp and boarding school so they don't have to deal with him.
Yeah.
And and Jake's kind of he's a lonely little kid, and he gets killed by the Man in Black, and then he wakes up in this brand new world, and rather than like crying or giving up, Jake is like honestly trying to like survive and trying to solve this riddle of what the heck happened to him, what is he doing here. So Jake has a lot of admirable traits that really make you like him as a character.
Yeah, he makes a lot of choices in that position that I don't even think a lot of adults would make.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
he takes a very proactive stance on it.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like 10 or 11. I think in the original book he was 9.
9. I think he was younger.
Correct.
And then Stephen King went back and revised it to 10 or 11, which I agree with because...
Yeah, killing 11-year-olds is much easier to deal with than 9-year-olds.
Letting them die, director. Just letting them die.
He didn't save him. It's like, I don't got time.
No, because the Man in Black.
Yeah.
I meant.
Yeah.
Not Roland.
Man in Black did push him right in front of a car.
I also want to throw out there really quickly, and we could talk about this as much as you guys want to, but it doesn't look good for Jake, but we don't get verifiable evidence that he's actually dead.
He was silent and falling.
Yeah, that's true. Although...
That's all we know.
So was...
That's all we know.
Solo, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1... So was Darth Maul, though. And he's...
I am going to put on the edit there, I'm going to put a big Solo spoiler alert, and then I'll make sure that's handled.
Yeah, but
awesome.
Because that is exactly a good point.
But it's also
So that's true.
kind of interesting. Like, he was alone, and when they first met, Roland was going to kill him, thinking he was a Man in Black.
Yeah.
And then he, after like a couple of minutes, looking him down, he didn't, and then he passed out. And then during that time, the kid had a chance to kill him. It's like, I had the pitchfork ready, I was gonna kill you, and then it's like, no, and he decided not to. Yeah. Like, wow.
He almost became Roland for a moment, you know? Because Roland was thinking, do I kill Brown so that I can sleep? And Jake's just like, do I kill this guy so that I can sleep?
Exactly.
But I love the amount of instinct that Jake has. Like, he immediately knows that people in this world are not cool. And he hid from the Man in Black.
Now, do you think that he knows people in this world are not cool, or do you think he's just hyper sensitive to everyone around him because he just got killed?
And that's why he decided not to kill Roland. But, however, the other thing about him falling anyway is that he already got run over.
Yeah, I think that's a leftover from the other world he came from with all the time. That grown-ups are like shit people. Like, it doesn't like...
Right. He just doesn't trust them.
Being pushed in front of a moving car by a complete stranger would make you a little wary of other people.
Like, he doesn't
it made me wary.
He doesn't have the memories, but I think that feeling.
He suppressed them, but
came back.
He has them.
held over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that what was I gonna say? Fuck, it lost.
It's all right.
Hitman
Let us know if you think of it.
Yeah.
But it's almost like an instinct now instead of a conscious like choice. It's almost like he just evolved to this super skeptical.
And it seems like he may have always had some.
Yeah.
Like, because he, even describing him, when he was describing his past, while being hypnotized by Roland's bullet trick.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, by the way.
Really cool.
He, something, we won't get into the movie right now. Just not even go there. Anyway.
Dude, the best thing the movie did was cast Idris Elba as Roland. He was so good.
I mean, great acting. It just wasn't anything. It was just a different movie.
But like when I think, sorry, we're not going to be on the movie much longer. But when I think of Roland, like Idris Elba is like the guy, like just this badass, rusky voice, like because Idris Elba has probably one of the coolest voices in Hollywood.
It was great.
He's just like this. He's just like this dominating, tall, badass.
Yeah.
Ugh, he was so well casted. And I'm so sad that the movie. Anyway, moving on.
No, we're not talking about that. We'll get to it, folks. We have complex emotions about it. Because we come from different backgrounds.
We're kind of getting into the whole Jake arc a little bit. Do we want to talk slow mutants next?
Ooh. Well, all right. Let's work our way up to it because I want to talk a few more Jake points.
Okay.
So Jake, the gunslinger, can't stop kind of giving credit to this little kid who's better in the dark, who's climbing in areas the gunslinger can't go, who never complains and just kind of travels with him. And it just makes Roland love him more and more and more. Again, getting back to whether he was like handpicked by the Man in Black just to torture Roland.
That actually reminds me, this is another reason that I started to feel that this world, I don't feel that way so much at the end, but like for a while I was starting to feel that this whole world was almost like a making of Roland's. Because it's like, I felt like the Man in Black was his bad parts. I felt like the kid was like his childish innocence. Because like, he has like a lot of aspects of himself, like this survivability and like a lot of these instincts that a gunslinger would have. And that's kind of like what I was thinking at this point. Obviously, you feel differently at the end, but...
I'm so pumped to read this series with you guys now.
Me too.
There's so much good stuff to talk about later. I can't even wait.
Yeah.
And I don't barely remember any of it, but I remember enough that I'm like, yes.
The only things I remember are 3 characters' names. I don't remember anything they do.
We're gonna just leave out character names for now until we get to reading the next book.
Yeah.
But I will say that Jake is a little badass.
Yeah.
I am glad that they went back and made him 11 or 10 or 11 instead of 9 or 8 or 9. I feel that it's more fitting, and also I imagine being Roland and traveling and teaching a 4th grader instead of a 3rd or 2nd grader.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
It does make... Now, obviously, Andrew brought up possible concerns with this, but it does make me a little sad that, like, such a cool character was very short-lived, you know? And I kind of... I mean, obviously, he has to... Like, I brought up Thanos earlier. It's like, he has to make his sacrifice, you know?
Yeah.
It was like Roland was being tested. Are you worthy of the tower? Almost. But it does kind of suck that... I don't know.
So that's an interesting comment you just made. Worthy of the tower.
Yeah.
And I feel like... What would make you worthy of the tower? Are you sure it's leaving Jake to fall? I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's the tower, but to catch the Man in Black,
He did
felt like it was a blood sacrifice.
Yeah, there's a part of me that kind of felt like the like laws of the universe dictate that you have to have a worthy opponent. If you're going to make it to the tower, if whoever is controlling the Man in Black is going to actually destroy the tower, the laws of the universe dictate that you have to have worthy opposition. And to me, it's almost like, is Roland capable of doing the evil possible to stop an even greater evil? You know, and I don't know if that's like what's going on, but like I felt like it was almost like a test, or maybe it's a lesson for Roland. Maybe knowing that he made the sacrifice now is going to teach him not to make the sacrifice later. I don't know what the meaning of it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just, non-consequential. I have no idea.
Well, I personally don't. I don't know how Stephen King does it in discovery writing, but he seems to not plot anything and somehow connect things that are super deep.
Yeah.
I would
say, though, that even as a discovery writer, the fact that he's been thinking of this for decades,
exactly,
it's pretty plotted out in the broad strokes. Exactly. He knows what he's going for, I would assume.
Well, there's actual stories that he talks about in later books where there's been people who wrote to him on their deathbed wanting to know the ending.
Oh,
wow! He said, "I am so sorry.
I don't know
the ending. I'm not there." The way he wrote this book was
just make something up. They're dying, for God's sakes.
100% discovery written, which means that when he got to the end, he got there like the same way that we're getting there.
For sure. But the thing is, though, is that I do believe that you can be a discovery writer and know certain things. Like, for example, you can say, I think that you can have something pegged at the beginning that means this is going to test this aspect of Roland. Yeah. But at the end, you just don't know what that test, if it's going to pass or fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't know it. I remember he actually has the foreword in, I think it's Wizarding Glass. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's one of the books up there, but he has the foreword in there, and he literally talks about how he's had no fucking idea where this was going.
That's really cool. All.
And it was just kind of neat. It's unique for sure. And
it's also kind of cool for him because he almost gets to enjoy his own writing as a fan.
Yes.
He doesn't know what's going to happen. Yep. And that's one thing that I come across is it's like, sometimes when I'm writing, I feel like, is anybody going to enjoy this? Because this is like a magic trick where I can see the strings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like to him, he's almost like, where are the strings?
I've been there, man. It's awesome. Okay. Jake, badass. They get into this cave. Jake helps him. And actually, at this point, Jake also basically knows that he's a dead man.
Yeah.
Helps him anyway. In that moment, dude, when they're running from the slow mutants, or it was just after the slow mutants, and then Jake's like, we should just stay here. I'm going to stay here. And then Roland's like, actually, I just realized that at this point, we're both dead if we stay or go. And he's like, I better go. And he's like, fine, Jake, you just stay. And he starts to pump the handcart away. Yeah. And then Jake at the last moment runs up and grabs onto him and he hugs him and pulls him in. Dude, and I'm just like, oh.
It was this moment. It was like, I think that this moment, if I'm remembering it correctly, that I was a little bit kind of like, oh, Roland, you dick. Like we hear because obviously we hear his internal monologue and he's like, I know what I'm doing.
It's like, I'm going to manipulate this kid.
I'm going to manipulate this stupid kid.
You remember? He's like, I love Jake. And then the moment
but I know I need him with me.
The moment that he knew Jake ceased to be Jake and he became the boy in his mind.
That was a terrifying moment.
Yeah,
I think for us and him.
For the reader?
He was a little taken aback by the fact that he just started seeing him as an object as well.
It was immediately he ceased to be Jake and became the boy, a pawn. Yeah. A tool to be used like David became. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. Yes. Interesting that he asked for that story, too. So, Captain, slow mutants, with their dumb faces and their tentacle arms.
With their sharp but uncomprehending eyes.
Yes.
I really thought the slow mutants were a super, super awesome monster to put in here.
Yeah.
I remember reading this back in high school and thinking like, oh my god, he could do a full book on like the slow mutants and like how they're like living or how they're taking over the surface world or something. I think they're a super, super awesome, unique monster that he put in, and I want to learn more about them. But I know that we probably won't get any more about the slow mutants. But
I mean, he's still writing.
He's still writing. But I think it was really unique that they're all different. But there was definitely that assurance. Like, I think at one point Roland even says something along the lines of, something along the lines of, if they catch us, they will eat us. Like, he knows that that's going to be their end game. So I thought that was a really cool, terrifying, awesome part. And Stephen King is so good at horror. It was just natural that scene would really shine in this book.
It was so funny to me because even though the slow mutants added a lot of the panic and excitement to the scene, Roland, I remember Jake, are they going to catch us? And Roland's like, no.
Yeah.
No, they absolutely won't.
Yeah.
They're slow mutants. Like, he was literally, like, he so nonchalantly said, even though they did get taxed by them in the end because he was unsuspecting, he's like, they'll probably leave us alone.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep going. And then, that dumb face came up and he actually attacked me. So I shot him in the dumb face.
Dude,
it's like Roland's attitude is so...
I know I'll get a lot of hate for this because I know a lot of people love traditional zombies, but that's how I always felt with zombies. I'm just like, how do you ever get bitten by one of these?
And clearly, Jake and Roland prove that unless you're fighting non-traditional zombies that could run, sprint, jump, and go crazy, you probably shouldn't... Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. Now, granted, if you get caught in a bad scenario where you're completely, over the top, that's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a thing of numbers over.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you got 5 of you and you got 1,000 zombies scrambling at you.
Yeah.
You can outrun them, but they're never going to stop.
No, but Roland's attitude was so funny. He's like, they're not going to catch us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're slow.
Yeah.
Like, if we just keep walking...
Well,
we'll be out of here.
The pump caught by
exactly.
then.
Well, but it was just hilarious.
They seemed really.
It's like, shit, they're coming.
They seemed really
dangerous.
They seemed dangerous for sure, but it was hilarious how Stephen King even described them as having dumb faces. Like, I just imagine like the smiling face with these tentacle arms, like, give me a hug. Little did they know they weren't trying to eat him; they were just wanted to hug.
I bet Stephen King was like remembering some bully from high school.
Yeah,
with these dumb faces.
Kind of reminds me of Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, dude!
The shoutouts just came from an anime convention.
Faces of those guys.
Boom.
Like,
Attack on Titan, brother. That's true. Cheers to that one. I can do that.
Yes.
So, what do you guys think, man? You're Roland. You're obviously totally obsessed with the Dark Tower and the Man in Black. Even though you're not really obsessed with the Man in Black to kill him or get vengeance, even though you know it's basically the person who turned your dad into a cuckold and toyed with you as a young boy.
Fucked your mom.
And that's turning your dad into a cuckold. Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah.
And he tried to kill
also
Roland
fucked
too.
his mom, Jeff.
He definitely totally coerced Roland into prematurely challenging Court. Because Roland was the youngest gunslinger ever to challenge his master in the field of combat.
But it worked.
It did work.
He helped Roland.
It did.
Did he think it was going to turn out
The
differently?
thing is, like, the youngest was his father before him at 16 to ever pass. Mm-hmm. He was 14. And I'm pretty sure he was trying to kill Roland.
Yeah, for sure.
You think so?
That's why the mom.
It just went wrong. He didn't expect Roland to be that good.
Yeah, Roland, who's kind of dumb, not so bright.
Yeah, with that dumb face.
So the thing about Roland,
face.
Like, you're not too bright.
Roland was always described as being. They kept calling him slow. But I interpreted that as a little bit different than the traditional sense slow. Not literally slow, but just.
I think a good alt substitute word might be stoic.
Yes.
For Roland.
Could be.
Because it's not necessarily that he's slow, he's just more resistant to change or more resistant to outside forces.
Yeah. I think what Jeff was saying though is that he interpreted it, and let me know if I'm wrong, but Jeff interpreted it as like it's not that he's slow in the head or slow to change, it's that he is not quick to anger. He's not quick to be hasty. He's always thinking everything out every step of the way. He's like next level gunslinger.
Methodical.
And people kept saying like, "Oh, you're slow because you're just." He wouldn't move. And it seemed that way to them, but in his mind,
he was actually steps ahead.
He would refuse to just not think everything out, and I think that made him. And even at the end, when the Man in Black says, "There's not a mind like yours on the planet, like anywhere."
Yeah, gave him an advantage.
I felt the opposite.
Oh, did you? You thought he was dumb?
He was true
not
slow?
dumb, but I don't know how to say this. Like, there was one quote in the book where he says, like, "I don't really care what other people are feeling," and that's like he only can understand his own feelings.
Yes,
he can't understand other people's feelings. He has no interest in them.
Right.
That kind of puts him on a different spectrum of autism.
Yeah, he's almost like a little autistic. He doesn't understand other people's emotions.
Like,
it could give him an advantage in certain circumstances.
It can.
It does.
As a gunslinger.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what a lot of people are trying to get at, that he couldn't understand other people.
Right.
So it seems slow when people like he has no empathy for other people. Really.
Yeah.
So they almost saw him as an antisocial.
Yeah.
No, he basically. I mean, I wouldn't call him antisocial though, because he did have a good group of friends. But like they all knew he was different and apart from them.
Yeah, he was
like he was ahead. Like he was like this guy who did what he did, and there was no amount of peer pressure, no amount of anything coaxing conversation would ever have this guy budge from what he decides. Completely without any outside source. He's just a unique.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's dumb,
crazy. But I think sometimes it came off that way because he did do the books the right way, or he was kind of like,
he's different. Just
very
different. Yeah,
it's hard to explain.
I think sometimes it's hard to distinguish the difference between being behind and being ahead of everyone else.
It's
interesting. And I feel like Roland maybe sometimes was interpreted as lagging behind when really he was just ahead of you to a point where you couldn't see him anymore.
Well, his friends all knew.
Yeah.
They all knew because they all knew he would be first. They all knew he was ahead, but but he was always, in his mind, he's like, I was never as quick as Bert. I was never as this as Alan.
Right.
You know, I was never as this as Jamie. Yeah. But what he was is just a way.
He's just had one goal.
Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't consider the other options. He just had one goal.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He's a very, very focused individual. And he loved his mom.
Yeah.
A lot. And we don't have all the backside, but in this book, he admits...
Well, his mom got all the backside.
She definitely was that. But he does admit to being a matricide. Earlier in the book.
Right.
Did he?
So he did.
I missed that. Whoa.
Yeah, I missed that too.
He says, I'm an eventual matricide. And we don't know the story about that yet. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. So he's telling Jake, and he's actually telling Jake a story, but he's thinking to himself and how he becomes an eventual matricide. And we don't know that story at all.
At all. Yeah.
It doesn't get there. We get as far as Martin coaxing him to test and him telling that story.
Right.
But we don't get the deep roots, but he admits. And so we get these hints about this complexity that exists. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and he even says, like, as they formed a triangle with my dad and Martin and my mom, and then you could make it a quad if you just put me in there.
Right.
And
because he mentions like Oedipus complex at some point,
yeah.
right?
After,
I know that a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot what the context was.
It was
of it,
he was talking about his first love, which we don't know yet as well. And he talks about him becoming a man, but that his girl Sarah, it starts with an S. It's not Suzanne, obviously, but it's something.
Susan.
High five.
Suzanne.
Susan got it. It was Susan told him about the Oedipus complex and how it like dawned on him the like kind of the weirdness with that whole situation.
Damn it,
the weirdness.
Yeah, fuck my mother. I got it now.
Yeah.
It's like, man.
No comment, man.
The man in black beat me to it.
Man in black.
That's why he wants to kill him.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you! That was my job!
So,
that's why he calls it the dark.
But anyway, it's really interesting because Roland is a really unique character.
Yeah,
and the one thing I really like about Stephen King's characters is none of them, even if you talk about spaghetti western and this character, Stephen King put all these weird, fucked up backstory bringing, and yet he's got these friends that are cool, and you're interested in them, and like him and Cuthbert putting the bread under the guy's feet after they hang him, and also when he confronts his dad about wanting him to be hanged and wanting to see it.
Yeah,
it's like so interesting.
Yeah,
just
actually,
super strange.
You know who else I thought was a really interesting character was oh man, I just had it in my head. What's the trainer's
Court.
Yeah. I thought Court was actually really interesting. I love how Stephen King like made this character like almost despicable and like you almost hate him. But then, like, at the end, when he accepts the way that Roland beat him, you're like, wow, this guy legitimately wants what's best for his students. He's doing what he knows he needs to do to turn these kids into the people they need to be to survive as gunslingers. Yeah. And that's just, I just thought that was really dope how you go from, like, almost hating him to being like, oh, he, like, legitimately cares for these people almost.
Well, it's even cool to compare it because when Martin comes out and he's in his mom's quarters and he just leaves his shirt open because he doesn't even care. And he's like, are you going to bend the knee, man? Because his dad is basically the king.
Yeah.
And so he's basically the prince.
Yeah.
And he's like starting to take position because he's getting very threatened by it. Yeah. And he just ignores him. But then he goes to Court and that's why he was goaded into the challenge. But Court immediately bends the knee.
Yeah.
And then refers to him as Gunslinger, and that he tries multiple times to tell him you'll regret this, and you should get the hell out of here. But it was really kind of a cool, intricate thing because you saw there Court, even though he seemed like a jackass and a total despicable guy, but he really did and was serving him.
Because he tried to talk him out of it numerous times. Even after...
he said, I'll break my oath.
Yeah, I'll break my oath.
It's too early. I don't want to lose you. It's crazy. So, good teacher. Really interesting.
Really good teacher, But really interesting teacher. I don't know if he's
you have a cut on your forehead.
That's like saying the guy from Whiplash is a good teacher.
Right. Right. We're not condoning that teachers beat their students.
Yeah, exactly.
For all the listeners.
Yeah. But in that world, maybe that's what's necessary. I don't know.
Also, in that world, that may have been necessary.
Exactly, Captain. And not everyone's trying to go to gunslinger school either.
Yeah.
These some of them will be like courtesans and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, this is next level warrior school. And then when Roland's describing his training and how he's immediately just like offing all these people with all these bullets and how trained, he
basically describes his hands as almost like another person.
Yeah, they're their own brain.
Like they just do their own shit.
Yeah. He's so the repetition of killing is so good for him.
I have to say that part where he was describing his hands, that part rings true because like in all the like things that I've been into, eventually it gets to the point you train consciously for so long so that you don't have to think about it in the moment. You know what I mean? Like it just happens. That's why you train so hard. Because you don't want to think about it. You want it to be like reflex, like a ball coming at your head. You just want to do it. And I just found that to be really cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And really well described. So, how about the palaver? So at the end, we get a third time we get some of this information. And you also get some hilarious realization on Roland's part. So the man in black palavers with him in a death field, a killing field, with bleached skulls, bleached bones all around. And you could tell that it's all an intimidation tactic.
Yeah.
And it doesn't thwart Roland at all. He basically admits it's an intimidation tactic. And then the first thing that he does after drawing the tarot cards is show him the universe to try to coax him into seeing how small and minuscule he is.
Now, do you guys think that was a tactic, or do you think that that's how this world, this universe, this multiverse actually works?
I think that it is a little bit of that, but it's a tactic.
Yeah,
he was trying
I think
to
it's a tactic. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was trying to stop Roland. He was using a last ditch mental trick to break Roland, to get him to realize how small and insignificant his mission is compared to the dwarfing size of the universe. Size was one of the words that he really focused on.
Yes.
And this kind of gets into the whole cosmic horror thing, which I'm definitely a subscriber to, because one of my favorite authors, H.P. Lovecraft, really evolved that to that topic. And Stephen King also liked his writings as well. But cosmic horror is basically the realization that no matter what you do, your life is insignificant and meaningless to the rest of the universe. And that in and itself is kind of, when you really, really think about that, that can be a very scary concept to a lot of people, particularly religious people, find that concept incredibly scary. So I think that this showing Roland...
Why particularly religious people?
It's a different discussion altogether, but basically it's because you want to know that there is a purpose to your life. The different philosophical discussion, which we can sidebar it. But,
that's true.
Yeah.
All right, go for it. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, no problem. But yeah, basically he was just trying to show him like the dawn of creation and the entire history of the universe to try and mind fry Roland. But it just didn't work. I mean, Roland is he's too much of a stoic. He's too focused on his mission to be concerned with that kind of a class of terror.
Right.
So
it didn't even faze him really. He was just kind of like, oh, I saw a blade of grass and I don't even give a fuck. Whatever.
Right.
there is a part of me though that wonders though if his inability to accept that vastness can potentially lead to his failing of his
for
objective.
Sure. Yeah. That could be seen as an ultimate strength or an ultimate weakness. Depending on the circumstance.
And I was going to say, I think we will find out, but I agree with Captain. Total tactic, and also it did not impact it. And then Roland even laughed and called him out. You don't even know. You're supposed to be a wizard, a wise man, and you're a dumb... Yeah. He basically, it was unworded that way, but he was basically like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And then it pissed the man in black off, but he couldn't do anything about it because he had his rule written, which actually we get to these rules that they were living by. It's almost like a Sanderson shard-bearing rules that you have to abide by. But
the way of king's rules.
But I agree, Captain. I think it was a tactic. And what was really important, that entire palaver, out of the entire palaver, was really that he needs to go to the west, near the sea, and that he has the power to draw. And that he will draw 3.
Yes, yeah.
That someone's going to imbue him with the power, but they don't want to. He's going to have to force them.
No, it's not even that they'll imbue him. It's that he already has the power.
The power.
It's already in him.
But the people he draws won't want to, right?
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah.
There could be some
which is interesting. That kind of... I find that interesting because it's like... That's kind of like, like almost all writers know the hero's journey kind of type of storytelling, and I think that's interesting because it almost seems like we're going to come up against 3 individual heroes that are all going to be in one story potentially, which I think is really cool because the hero's journey basically says the hero has to say no to the call to action at first. That's like part of it.
I love the setup.
Yeah.
Because...
Oh, I just thought of something, too.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I love the setup because the entire book is all about setting up the next book, which is called The Drawing of the Three.
Yeah. But we didn't know that at the time that... If we read it when it was released, we wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
But the next one is The Drawing of the Three. But I also just thought of the fact that another trope or part of the hero's journey is that it's very, very common in the hero's journey. Not only do they first reject the call to action and then eventually go for it, but many of them are also born, die, and reborn again.
Yes.
So it's like Harry Potter goes through this, Neo from the Matrix goes through this, Jesus goes through this, like all story characters, real or fiction, go through this all throughout history. And bringing up what Captain said earlier, Jake just died. So is he gonna come back?
I hope he does. And I hope he comes back with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't even know if he died, by the way. I would like to point out
we don't know.
He just fell silently, and then the Man in Black...
That's right. He Darth Mauled down the
he Darth Mauled down the abyss. And then the Man in Black said, he's drowning right now, and it made the Gunslinger feel bad. But then he's like, have you even been telling me the truth? And then later in the conversation, the Man in Black says, no more lies.
Yeah.
Let's go truth, man to man. And he's like, haven't you... I've been telling the truth, you son of a bitch. So how much of what he's been saying is lies?
Yeah.
It was a really cool counter showdown to the traditional spaghetti western showdown. Because the Gunslinger is so much a traditional character, but the showdown between the two of them was not anything like you'll find in any kind of a spaghetti western or
they had a camp out.
Any kind of movie.
Instead of a shootout.
They had a 10-year battle of the verbiage.
Dude, we gotta get there.
Right.
So this is the way I interpreted that. So he goes through all of this, and then he goes to bed. And then he sleeps for 10 years, is how I felt that he... not after one night, but he had several nights of discussion in a row.
I took it that way as well.
And then eventually he was put to sleep, and he woke up 10 years later.
So does that mean that
That's how I
potentially...
interpret it.
What do you guys think about this, then? Does that mean that this palaver potentially took much longer than 10 years? The sleep was 10 years? Because he basically says at the beginning that whatever being controls the Man in Black has, cut time. Like, this night is going to last until we're done.
Yeah.
So do you think that it could have been just,
10 years. Maybe.
But do you think the sleep was 10 years, or do you think the whole palaver was 10 years?
So I was wondering that.
That's a good question.
It felt to me like there was enough palavered in the several nights that they took it.
Yeah.
That he could just go to bed. But maybe the hint is that they palavered for 10 years and he can barely remember it.
Right. I was wondering if the palaver actually lasted much longer. Years and years and years. And then when they were done, he fell asleep for 10 years and the Man in Black
was already bones.
Yeah. He was nothing but bones.
But
Roland's Roland's mom's bedroom, he was nothing but bones.
But even Roland, even Roland though was like, it's probably some ploy.
Yeah.
So.
Did you guys catch the little bit at the very end where Roland grabs the jawbone
to replace the other jawbone
from the bone? So it's like Roland just keeps walking around and collecting all these jawbones as super powerful charms. He's got a jacket full of jawbones.
Dude,
that he can just
in
whip
book
out at a
8,
moment's
he's just
notice.
gonna get shot through the jaw, and he's gonna be like, oh.
I honestly think that this goes back to his stoicness and his inability to change. It's just habit. He had a jawbone, so he wants a jawbone.
Right.
So he used the jawbone, and that jawbone had power, and there is no indication whatsoever that this jawbone's going to do anything for him. But he's like, I had a jawbone. I want a jawbone.
Yeah, I'm going to get me a jawbone.
So he just takes it. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. So I do got to say, so actually what we should do right now as we finish up, I'm going to go through all of the differences.
Okay, sure.
And we could discuss those real quick. And Nike. I have it. Don't worry.
I know Roland's age is one of them. Allie's death is one of the main differences.
I'm gonna get them all. I got them all right.
And what she says before the death. Yeah, that's probably what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah. The rarity of paper in books, I think, was one of the rarities.
Actually, that's something that I thought was. I mean, it's. I don't know. There was something about that I thought was just really cool the first time I read it. Mm-hmm. How just a little detail like that added to a world. The fact that paper is so valuable. I just thought that was really cool.
It's funny because we don't value it right now because we have such a digital thinking. But when you think about a world where suddenly if you had technology and all digital stuff went away, you're suddenly like, oh shit, paper.
Yeah.
Also,
but no trees as well.
Like,
they might
no
just
trees,
be desolate.
no ability to produce paper.
Exactly.
So all I have is like the remains.
Right.
And so like deserty that it'll just like crumble away if you don't have
Right.
it.
Exactly. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
All
agree.
right, here we go.
So
All right.
most people in that world are probably illiterate.
Yeah.
So in 2003, King revised it. Thankfully, I've read them
2003.
both now. I'm happy about this. The added material was over 9,000 words. So not...
Does that say what the changed material is?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to get there. So in the beginning, Roland suffers a dizzy spell. This is a reference to something, which comes later. As I said, blow your mind, reread The Gunslinger after book 4, and later. Reference to 12 years having passed since the fall of Gilead. Which Gilead, it was so abstract. We didn't
Is
know
this what was added? Or
added-
is this what was in the original?
No,
That's
this is
the
added.
original.
Okay.
I thought they took out how long it's
No,
passed.
all these are changes. So this was added.
Okay.
So there's a reference that was added to 12 years having passed since the fall of Gilead, which happened when Roland was a teenager. It's changed to untold years.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Untold years.
Sorry, dude. I didn't get all the way through.
And
Otherwise,
Gilead is where Roland's
grew up.
from?
Yeah.
Correct.
gets his home. Otherwise, it would have been deduced that Roland's in his 30s, and the king wanted that to be not so hands
Prevalent?
down. Yeah,
Prevalent.
he wanted it to be like, we don't really know.
Yeah. Well, there's hints that he's older than 30
Yeah.
and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Roland didn't know where Court was is changed to Court was dead, as the fall of Gilead was not completely fleshed out until later books.
Okay.
Roland's cold-hearted killing of Allie is changed to make him appear more human. Originally, when the town of Tull turns on Roland, Allie is seized by a townsperson, a.k.a. we know, Cheb.
Sheb, yeah.
Or Sheb, that's it. Used as a human shield. She begs Roland not to fire before he ruthlessly guns down both her and her captor. In the revised version, she has been driven mad by Walter by the time she's seized and begs Roland to put her out of her misery. So I remember the original version because I was like, God damn, this guy's an evil fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Reference.
you obviously still must have, I mean, I know you don't remember much, but you obviously still must have liked him enough to go along on the journey. So
Well, I put that book down for a long time before I went on to book 2.
that's true. That's true.
And I quit that book.
So maybe Stephen King realized that, we gotta make this
I
a little
think
more.
my guess would be, because like I said, I really don't remember anything about the later books, and I only read like 2 more. But my guess would be that King was hoping for people to get invested maybe more later.
Yeah.
But he probably found that, like, people aren't continuing on after the first book.
Or it just took a while.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or maybe once he got to the end, he realized, some of it doesn't mesh with what I came up with in the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So continuing on, reference to the Beast, which I remember, were changed to refer to the Crimson King, who otherwise was not mentioned until later in the series in the Wastelands. So
Okay.
he wanted to give a hint for later stuff.
I don't think I got that far.
That was
No, you did.
Did I?
Wastelands is book 3.
Oh, is
you
it?
You did. And
I don't remember. I literally don't remember anything beyond.
No worries, but anyway, we got the word Crimson King. I didn't reference it earlier because I couldn't remember if we knew it or not, but now I know we did.
they said from the priestess or the feature
The
woman
priestess,
that's-
the son
of the Crimson King.
Okay.
The Crimson King. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Awesome. Blue Haven and Algul Ciento, terms that are revealed in the final books, are mentioned.
Okay.
A single Taheen appears early in the revised version.
Oh,
the
the
Taheen
old
are the race of
Taheens.
creatures, the bird creatures, which wouldn't originally appear until the final 3 books. So he wanted to add one in.
Yeah, I
The
think
Taheen,
that
that's the
bird
bird creature,
creatures?
by the way, Dross.
Nice.
The bird god.
Bird creature. In this book?
Yes.
I think
In the
that
very
Not
beginning.
not Zoltan.
no.
or
no,
Zoltron
no.
or
The
whatever
bird
his
head
name
and the man body.
I don't remember that at
It's
all.
right away in the beginning, yeah.
I want to say that word is also used from the demon in the basement of Jake's hut.
The Taheen, it could be, yeah.
Maybe.
Dude, I'm telling you, we could read these books like 8 times. Stephen King's so clever about putting this crap in there. It's like hidden messages.
This and Stormlight Archive, I feel like we're going to have to read multiple times and do multiple revisits.
Every time a new... Well, obviously not this one. But we'll do revisits, but with Stormlight, we're going to do multiple revisits as the new books come out. All right, a major textual change in the fate and identity of the Man in Black. In the original text, Walter's death is how does this death at the revised Roland speculate? So this is with the bones. Okay. In the original text, the bones that are there at the end of the story, there's like no Roland thinks in certainty it's him. And then in the new text, Roland speculates if his discovery of Walter's bones is a trick.
Oh, okay. So we're not sure if that's even the Man in Black.
That's what I mean.
Not.
Yeah.
And in the original text, he looks and he's like, "That's the Man in Black," and he takes his jawbone and moves on.
So it's basically the same outcome. He just makes it a little bit more clear.
That
it might not even be him.
He made Roland think it has nothing to do.
Yeah, I guess that was unclear of me. He made it more clear that it's unclear.
The original text also kept Walter and Martin Broadcloak completely disambiguated until after later books. Mm-hmm. But in this one, he hinted that he basically made the Man in Black say, "I was Walter Broadcloak."
Okay.
Was that his name? Martin Broadcloak.
Martin, yeah.
Martin. I'm sorry. Walter was Martin Broadcloak. Mm-hmm. I read that weird. I'm an idiot. Broadcloak was still to be found in... and then later they also, unify him with Randall Flagg, which we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They took that out, though. They took out the reference of Randall Flagg in the first book. It's made later now.
Yeah, that was not mentioned in the first book.
Which is why Andrew and I were talking about it, because we read
I don't remember Randall
Eyes
Flagg.
of the Dragon, and Randall Flagg was another one of his names.
Yeah.
Jake Chambers was originally 9 years old, was made 10 or 11 in the revised. In general, the world the Gunslinger walked through in the original text was a rundown version of our own. The text mentions England, the star Polaris, Mars, Jesus. Jesus. Easter, All Saints Eve, Halloween.
Dross, did you hear that?
No, I missed it.
Oh, man. Jeff just called Jesus Jesus.
I was reading. Oh, Jesus. In those references, they were actually removed in the new version to make Roland's world kind of more vague.
Right.
In expanded edition, last page before the text, a single word resumption appears in the argument forward.
I don't know what that means.
I think there's a forward in the book. So anyway, that's pretty cool.
Interesting.
So those are the differences. So he actually did go back and restructure some of the story, and then he added some of those things. And to be honest, my reading through this time felt a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot
same
better.
here.
It did for me too.
And now I've read it multiple times, and I was like,
only read it twice.
Still cloudy, but definitely more structured. I felt that there was more of a we weren't just like
progression.
Woo! We weren't just like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on anywhere.
I remember the first time that I shouldn't say read, but the first time that I listened to it, it was my first audiobook, so like I mentioned in part 1, like my mind wandered a lot. This is not a book that your mind can wander.
No, it cannot.
To even have a chance to understand this book, you really have to hear everything. And I remember the first time that I listened to it, I was just like, what? But the second time that I listened to it, it was a little bit better, and I was just like, what?
I'm excited. I'm excited. All right, I think we should clear this up. Cheers. finish out, and then I'm excited to discuss Drawing of the Three.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to.
It's going to be fun. I am telling you, hands down. I don't remember a ton about the series, but I know for a fact the characters in these books are some of the most unique, badass, strange, awesome to read characters on the planet.
I don't remember any of the plot. I remember 2 of the characters. I don't remember who the third is. I remember 2 of the characters, and I remember it making a lot more sense than the first one. That's all I remember. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get into the second book.
With that, guys, without further ado, thank you for joining us today. Again, cheers.
Cheers.
Remember, you could find us at litliterature.com, at lyket.net, and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah, almost
Patreon,
all of our social media is Lit
everywhere.
Literature One, but you can check it out at litliterature.com. We have links to it.
Yeah, check it out, discuss. We want to hear your thoughts.
Yes, and don't just, let us know. Don't just say like, oh, this is a good episode. We really like to discuss it with you guys. So let us know what you think of our theories. Pitch your own theories. We'll talk about it on the next podcast. Anytime we revisit this, we'll talk about your theories and we'll discuss them. We really like talking about this stuff. That's why we do it. So feel free to actually engage with us on what you're thinking about these books, because we like it, and we only film on weekends, so we need something to do on the weekdays. So,
all right, folks. Without further ado, Kampai!
Awesome. Good episode, guys.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.